I'm doing well. It feels like a Monday, though.
No, I mean, last time I checked, it was a Monday, so you got that working for you.
Yeah, okay, at least I'm on the right day.
I got you in here today to talk about the Roundhouse and Turntable. It is now currently on the Simpson Mill site in Shelton. There was a feasibility study done. It's going to be a topic of conversation tonight at the commission meeting.
Yes.
So talk to me about this thing.
Well, I starting when Simpson first announced that they were going to be closing operations up here, and we became aware that there was going to be a demolition of most, if not all, of their old buildings. I started thinking about the Roundhouse because I knew it was a rare building with a working turntable and a very historic building. And I think it turned off. And so as I checked into that, I became aware that it was even more rare than I had realized, and definitely a building that is worth saving. It's potentially National Register material. It could be listed on the National Register.
Really?
Yeah, and so that's in itself is pretty important. Our city has lost too many of its historic buildings already, and I've been involved in the efforts way back in the day, Friends of the Shelton Gymnasium, which was a heartbreaking loss for those of us who appreciate our historic buildings, and then the church. And I just didn't want to lose another building, and as a commissioner I felt like I had a larger voice in asking for the building to be acquired by the city or given to the city so that we could have potentially a working museum in that building.
It's a pretty big building looking at the picture. So
it's large.
First off, for those who don't know, where is it? We're looking at pictures if you're watching the web feed of this morning. Where is it, and is it still the land owned by Simpson, or?
The property that the Roundhouse sits on is still owned by Simpson.
Okay.
I'm a bit concerned because of the parcel that was pieced out of the Sierra Pacific development for that Roundhouse is just basically the footprint and a little bit extra. So I have been assured that we will continue negotiations with Sierra Pacific to get a more usable piece of property. The biggest issue that we have, other than funding and coming up with a real cohesive plan, is the access to the property, because it does require crossing the railroad tracks. So those are things that we can work on. Obviously, there have been a number of other successful opportunities that other communities have taken advantage of.
I think the folks down in Centralia, Chehalis, or wherever that Chehalis Railroad area is, they're very big into this. I think even as our reporter Jeff Chu did a story on this a while ago, he was talking about one of the folks down there is really interested in using this.
Yes, Daryl Lund is a city commissioner he's a city councilman for the city of Chehalis, and is a former county commissioner down there, and he's very interested and has been a big help to me as far as advice and knowing who to contact. And I've had phone calls from all over the country from people who want this to be a successful project to save not only the Roundhouse but the rails. So it's going to be an ongoing effort. But I will say that Simpson has been really helpful. Dave McEntee of Simpson and some of the other employees have been extremely helpful, and they have that institutional knowledge of this line.
So if this all goes through, looking at this feasibility study, there's a couple of options there. It looks like after the testing, there's 3 strategies that are potentially up for discussion, and these are going to start just being discussed tonight at the city meeting?
I believe so. I believe that's the update that Steve is going to give us.
Okay.
And so we will be going out, maybe forming a charrette, a group of interested people. We'll be contacting other elected officials, including our state officials, for help with this, because I think that probably the best way that we can do this in the most economically feasible way would be to form a public-private partnership. Sure. And have the Roundhouse and hopefully Rails under as a separate entity. So we'll be working on that, gauging what the commitment from the community is and how the community feels about this, if we do have that backing, and then that will probably determine whether we get the backing of elected officials.
So you mentioned that you heard from some folks in Chehalis and across the country as well. Is this a known thing in Shelton to the residents of Shelton?
I don't think so. Trains Magazine is probably the largest train enthusiast publication, and they have done several editorials. I did an in-depth interview with them. They did a really nice article on this. People from Texas have memorabilia from the Simpson rail line that they are holding for me for when we have a place to store it. So nice. I don't know. I think a lot of people don't know that the Roundhouse is there, and if they go look for it, they don't recognize it because you naturally assume a roundhouse is round.
Sure.
And it isn't.
Yeah.
So
this kind of looks like a crescent moon. I mean, if we're using those types of descriptions for this. So the meeting tonight is at the Civic Center, and what time does it start?
6 o'clock. It will be part of our regular commission meeting. So down at the Civic Center, anybody is welcome to come if you're interested in the Roundhouse or the rail line, or both, or about the potential for the city of Shelton, both for economic development and tourism. What a great educational opportunity for schools to bring their students through. Yeah. So I think it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us. The building hasn't been available before, and we're just hoping that we can make it come to reality. Yeah.
Well, please come down to the city meeting tonight and have a conversation with your local residents, your neighbors, and your city commission. That's all coming up tonight here. Tracy Moore, City Commissioner, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
It's 8:23 now at iFiber One News Radio. We'll be right back after this.